Hey there, if you're new to the channel and you want to learn everything there is to know about living in New Smyrna Beach and surrounding areas like Deland, Florida, you come to the right place. My name is Matt Ecoff. I'm a local real estate expert. I'm here to share everything from the best neighborhoods to the hottest spots around town. Listen, I get phone calls, emails, text messages, Zoom invites every day from people just like you wanting to move to the beach and surrounding areas. So whether it be 2 days, 20 days, or 200 days, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'd love to help you move to the beach. Please make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. You get all notifications, updates about New Smyrna Beach and surrounding areas like Deland has to offer. Today, we're at Cook's doing a pros and cons video on Deland, top 5 pros, top 5 cons of Deland, Florida. So come on inside, join us for some food, grab your lunch, and let's have some fun. Alright guys, we're in Deland, Florida doing a pros and cons video on Deland, Florida. It's easier to do pros than cons to me in this area because it is one of the most historic cities in all of Orlando, all of Central Florida. Really old school charm. I don't want to get into the pros too early because that's obviously one of the big ones, but I want to talk about Deland, go through some of the things, talk about some of the real estate stats as well in this area, but really as a community, go into the pros and cons. Took some time on this. I have a little bit of personal experience because I did live here for a while. In fact, I got one of my first professional jobs. Just a little fun fact on the side, I was a school teacher and a coach for 2 years, and I got my first school teaching job by playing basketball at Stetson University, and one of the professors at Stetson played with me all the time, and he was getting ready to start a private Christian school and asked me to come over there and be a coach for him. I lived in Deland for a while. It's not that far away from New Smyrna Beach, only about 35 minutes. A lot of really great things, and some times that we come over here as well. So we're going to get right into the pros and cons and talk about the pro number one, and it's got to be the historic downtown, right?
Definitely. Like, this whole area, historic downtown Deland, is probably
this whole area, let's talk about where we're at right now.
Yeah. Oh, we're at Cook's. And Cook's is a buffet-style restaurant. It's been here for 66 years.
You eat free on your birthday.
It's built around an old home that was here in Deland. It's super cute.
We're right across the street from Stetson University, which is the center of Deland, right?
Yeah,
and probably best known.
Place is always busy, and it's good. But the pro being it's a historic downtown area, and I really feel like the historic downtown area of Deland is the heart of Deland. Like, it is where all the events happen, parades, any kind of art festivals, things of that nature all happen in downtown Deland.
Yeah, it's so charming. I mean, there's places to have wine, places to have drink, there's coffee shops, boutique shops, chocolate shops, ice cream shops, and there's really something for everybody. I mean, there's a lot of really cool things in downtown Deland, and the history behind it, because it is one of the oldest cities, and I think it's great because it's got some of the legal charm too, call it. You know, it's got the courthouses and things like that. We were walking earlier and heard the 12 o'clock bell go off. That's not something that you hear in a lot of cities anymore.
Cool.
So
it's
a pretty cool thing. So easy number one is the historic charm of Deland. Talk about another pro, the historic side of things. You know, it's got some breweries, some restaurants, things like that. We were talking about the boutique shops and stuff like that, but a lot of it is restored. They're not tearing down a lot of stuff here in Deland, and they do that in a lot of other areas.
There's been a ton of revival since I was young, and since you were young and you lived here.
And that was a long time ago since I was young. So
at least 15 years.
I mean, at least 15 years ago.
There's been a lot of change that's happened in Deland for the better, that just progressively moving forward, and also like keeping it intact. Like, there's still
preservation.
Yeah, there's
historic
still
preservation.
Really preserving Deland's historical factors, but it's thriving. It's a thriving community, and it wasn't always like that. It's been kind of up and down. And
so let's talk about the thriving part, because I don't think this is going to play a factor, but since we're a real estate channel, I just read a stat that Deland is one of the highest appreciating areas in all of Central Florida, and it's appreciating at 13.8% a year.
Wow.
I mean, that's crazy.
That's
New
huge.
Smyrna Beach is at 8.5 to 9% in some of the areas. It's still a little higher in some of the areas, but as a city as a whole, appreciating at almost 14% year over year, that's pretty incredible.
That's really good.
So I think a lot of that is keeping people in and bringing more people in because of the preservation, and then people seeing the attractiveness of the history in Deland and all the different things, and the cultural centers, and even the Athens Theater that we were in front of. I think they're doing Sweeney Todd plays right now.
Yeah, they are.
They did just a couple weeks ago. They did Grease, and I know a ton of friends of mine that actually dressed up the Thunderbirds and the Pink Ladies and came down and did the shows. So it's a lot of really cool history stuff. So easily pro number more for Deland. All right, so pro number 2, I think that goes along with the history of Stetson University vibe. This is a college town, and not so much in the fact that it'd be like Tallahassee with FSU, or Gainesville with the University of Florida, or Miami for Miami University.
Yeah, it's a different vibe.
But Stetson University is the oldest private university in the state, and it is super historic. I mean, the ground,
nice.
it's over 280 acres geographically, and really old historic buildings. It's a really cool town. Undergraduate programs, graduate programs, and a huge, huge law school. So I know a lot of law professors because I went to church in Deland and had a lot of law professors that went to the Presbyterian church that I went to. And so Stetson is a really cool vibe and a pretty big college and a great sports program too.
Yeah, and I also think as far as people who go to Stetson for school, they have a lot that is just within walking distance to their college. So not everything is just within the college grounds, that they can get to shopping and eating and all of the things that are downtown Deland. I mean, it's just a street over. It's so
I think
easy.
for out of area people, you know, if you don't live in Central Florida, Stetson puts Deland on the map.
It really does.
It's like it's the reason people would know Deland because of the sports program. You know, it keeps this youthful energy in a historic city, and that mix is really nice, and I think helps the community thrive.
Yeah, I do.
1 and 2 go really hand in hand. All right, so number 3 is a real estate channel, and this is important. It's affordability factor. You're about 35 to 40 minutes from the beach, so you're not far from the beach, but you also, the affordability factor, at an average home price of $360,000, and you have historic homes. I know on the video that we did for the community tour of Deland, we were looking at a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 3,000 square foot home that was built in 1895 that was $740,000. That's how much I remember real estate. I can remember every stat on it. That's crazy. And it had a corner lot with a third of an acre and a pool, and that was 3 blocks from downtown Deland. So
you could walk
the
there.
pricing and the affordability here is great, but then you can also move into
There's
something
new
like
builds.
Victoria Park, which I know you love, which is outside of, you can't walk to the downtown portion, but it's still in Deland.
No, but it's kind of its own little community within the community, and there's a lot of growth that's happening in Deland, and there's new builds, so not everything
It's planned,
is
so there's golf and stuff like that. So and it's close to I-4, so it'd be really convenient to Daytona Beach or Orlando. So
if you have to go to work either of those directions, you can get right on the interstate and go. I think Deland is really great for newer families too, because of the affordability factor. You can get a newer home, a new build home, or in that area where...
Actually, newer homes in Deland go for about $220 price per square foot for a brand new build. So you think about that, and you take $220 price per square foot and times it times how much square footage you think you're going to need based on bedrooms and bathrooms. And I can help you with that too. So reach out if you need some help based on sizes and stuff. But going back to that historic home, a nice historic home, $740,000. Can you imagine how much that house would be with that lot
$4 million
in New Smyrna Beach or Beachside,
$4 million.
or Daytona Beach or Ormond Beach? You're right. It'd be probably $3 or $4 million. That house. I mean, it's unbelievable. The magnolia trees and stuff like that. The landscaping there.
The
So affordability factor
is
really easy. Number 3, and these 3, like top 3, honestly, are really close. Compared to what's important to you.
Yeah.
Pro number 4 is Deland's location. Talk about proximity to Daytona Beach, Ormond Beach, airports, big events like the Daytona Speedway and stuff like that, as well as Orlando.
I think Deland, if you're going to talk about it as a location, as a pro, you are kind of in the middle of everything. You can easily get to, if you're in Deland, everything is kind of spiderwebbed around you. So I think that it's easy to get to the beach, it's easy to get to Orlando, like where all the big
So
attractions
Deland is
are.
right off of I-4. It's just on the west side of I-4, and I bet convenience. And because I-4 does run across the state from 95 to 75, kind of east to west, it does make it convenient to get to Daytona or the beach very easy, or to get to Orlando via I-4. And our brother-in-law works at SeaWorld, and he lives in Deland, and he doesn't have to go into SeaWorld every day, but SeaWorld is past downtown Orlando, and he goes there 3-4 days a week, and he doesn't have nearly as much of it, doesn't have to worry about the commute so much. And so you get a lot of bang for your buck while being kind of exclusive without living in a downtown area, which also that exclusivity being in a smaller town allows for more family-friendly environment, in my opinion. Not saying that you can't live in a city and be in a family-friendly environment, but
No, but it is a very tight-knit community. It is family-friendly. mean, it's really great for families who have young families who have kids.
Yeah.
There's a lot to entertain them with here.
Okay, so talking about that small family, I think it's got the community feel. That, in my opinion, would be pro number 5, is a small community feel. You do know
yeah.
a lot of the same people. I know when I lived here for a little while and went to church here and played basketball at Stetson University, there wasn't a lot of times that I could go to downtown and not see somebody that I didn't recognize, or somebody at one of the local, one of the local eateries or something like that, or coffee shop.
Real similar to the new Smyrna Beach vibe. Maybe you're going to run into people you know pretty often, and I do think Deland is a little bit larger than where we're at, but not by a lot. Not by a lot.
Well, by geographically, it's small. Population-wise, it's almost the exact same size. So just more compacted, I guess, in Deland.
Yeah.
But there's community events too, though, like the weekly farmers market, and you were talking about the holiday parade. They shut down the street, for miles when they do the holiday parade here. And so you're always going to see some people. And this is an outdoor living. It's a walkable city. So you're out often. You're out in the city often, and so you're going to see a lot of the same people around.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely number 5 is the sense of community and sense of community feel.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about the cons. And look, it's con number 1 in every place that we go. It's just got to be, but if this is somebody's first time video watching, if this is first ever video that they watch, then if they've seen any other pros and cons video, con number 1 is hurricanes and weather.
Oh, well, even though we're inland, we're still in Florida. You're still going to experience tropical storms and the weather. We do get, occasionally, Deland gets a tornado from the hurricane weather. It's just a thing that happens. Now, none of them have ever been so dramatic that it took out the whole town or anything, but...
And people that don't live here don't know that, it's not necessarily worse at New Smyrna Beach or Orlando Beach or Daytona Beach or Ponce Inlet to have a hurricane than it is living in Deland 30 miles inland. It doesn't really actually play a factor. In fact, some of the historic trees around here might be a con because the big oaks, could come down. Flood Zone X is based off FEMA, so Flood Zone X and X500, which is mostly Deland, is also a lot of New Smyrna Beach and some of the surrounding areas as well. Number 1 is going to definitely be the storms. It's going to be the hurricane. Now we're in September of 2025. I've read 2 stats about hurricane season this year, and now this is again September 2025. I don't know when you're going to be watching this video, but we are post the middle of this season, so we're in the back half of the season, and for the first time since in 85 years, on September 15th, there's been 0 hurricanes in the Atlantic tropics. Also, at the peak,
even forming out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
At the peak of the season, which was a few weeks ago, there was 0 hurricanes out in the tropics, and that was the first time in recorded history there was no hurricanes in the Atlantic Ocean in the peak of hurricane season. So now, if you're watching 2026 or 2027, I can't make any promises, but this year so far, hurricane season has been down. But I think we have more rain. We probably have more rain this year than we have during hurricane season.
Tons of rain. Tons of rain beachside. I mean, there's been a few streets that had water, but that's a con for another video. I would say the weather in Florida in particular, you're going to get hit with hurricane season, you're going to get tropical storms, you're going to get things that maybe you're not used to having in other states.
And talking about the heat for a minute, because we're talking about it's hurricanes and what, it is hot here, it is humid here. And if you're not as close to the coast, I don't know if you know this or not, but if you're close to the coast, you're going to get a wind a lot. You're going to have a breeze a lot because you're right off the ocean. You're more inland, you're not going to have it nearly as much. And with the maturity of the trees and stuff like that, that's going to stop a lot of the wind and the breeze from coming in here. So high humidity, high heat. There are hurricanes here. Con number 1 is the same as every other video that we have in our pros and cons. Is going to be the weather. All right, I'm going to let you focus on this so I can take a bite of food for a second. Con number 2, in fact, I'm going to say for me personally, maybe not for you, if you don't live in the area and you're not used to hurricanes, since I've gone through hurricanes my entire life, they're not nearly as big of a deal to me. But that because we have an 11-year-old, school is really important to me. And so the number 1 con, in my opinion, but number 2 on our list, is the school system in Deland. Let's talk about the public schools, though, before you talk about the private schools.
Okay, so there are public schools and private schools in the Deland School District. Now, Volusia County as a whole is rated an A school system.
Correct.
But Deland does fall lower within their category of of the best schools. So Deland isn't as high up on the list as the rest of Volusia County's public schools.
And in fact, on the rating systems through Zillow and Realtor and things like that, which a lot of people look at, I think it's a 5 across the board. I think it's 5 for the elementary school, 5 for the middle school, and 5 for the high school.
I mean, I know it's things that they're working on, but the facts are the facts.
It's always been a struggle, though. I mean, since I was in high school.
Deland has always kind of struggled with that school district. However, there are options for you if you don't want to use the public school system.
Right.
St. Barnabas Episcopal School, which
St.
is over
Barnabas.
by that house that we actually
Yep.
filmed earlier.
Yeah, we have St. Barnabas, we have Stetson Baptist,
Yes.
we have Geneva Christian Academy.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a good mix of schools here that are private.
And other ones that are close to DeLand. Like if you wanted to go outside of DeLand, Trinity is
Yeah,
towards
Trinity's in
Deltona,
Deltona.
and then there's
Warner Christian and Father Lopez are both in Daytona Beach.
Yep.
So you have a
You
lot of
have a lot
options
of
here.
options
And
for
private school, don't think that just because it's private school, it's going to be super, super expensive. Some of them might be, but some of them, there's scholarship programs available if your kids play athletics and things like that, or if you maybe know the right person, or if your income level is at a certain level. Also, a military background, single parent homes, things like that. There's a lot of options for private schools. So I would just say, though, on the public school side, the con, again, this is con number 2 on our list, but con number 1, in my opinion, is definitely going to be the school.
It definitely doesn't rank as high as the rest of Volusia County. Not to say that they're bad schools by any means. I'm not saying that. They're just not as high up on the list because.
But they are below average if
but
you're
they-
talking about Volusia County.
If we're talking about Volusia County, which is an A-rated county, they are the lowest on that.
All right, so let's get into con number 3. I'm going to let you take this over. Because it's a small area, it's a small, quaint town, there's a lack of big box stores. Super Target, Costco, Sam's, some of the bigger things that you, Max, I'm trying to think of places that you shop, Home Goods, things like that, you're not so close to.
Because DeLand is a smaller town. There is a ton of boutique style stuff, kind of similar to New Smyrna Beach. And there is major grocery stores. We still have a Publix and Winn-Dixie and places that are staples, needs. But as far as your bigger stores, so if you're looking for Walmart, Target, malls, things of that nature, like bigger box stores like you're talking about, DeLand doesn't have it. There's not enough space in DeLand to have those things. But it's not like those places are super, super far away either. You're going to be going towards Daytona. You're going to be going towards Port Orange, and those places are about 30 minutes from where we're at.
Yeah, but that's part of the central location too, which is a pro. So, but in the city itself, and like you said, I mean, most of the stuff that you're going to need with the Publix and stuff like that is local.
But there's not big shopping here. It's not, the town isn't large enough for that, and that's just something that it doesn't lack in. If you're used to having those kind of amenities close to you and that's a need of yours, then DeLand is not going to be for you.
Let's go to con number 4. Because DeLand is growing so much, there is traffic that goes along with that. We have some traffic problems here. We have some construction problems here, and it's just a little bit more of a delay than normal. But I mean, that's in developing areas. There's also a high appreciation rate here, which is a pro. One goes with the other. And the fact that they're trying to preserve as much as they can, there's a lot of workarounds and stuff like that. But traffic is not great here. Definitely if you are traveling to Orlando for work and you've decided to live here and commute from here, then I mean I-4 traffic is going to be just, you got to get up super early in the morning or start later in the day.
And I think that's been Central Florida's biggest complaint is the I-4 traffic. Central Florida as a whole, and that's where they built those expressways that you pay to take, which are awesome by the way. Love that. But you're right, traffic can be an issue.
Yeah, but let's talk about that though, because if you live in Lake Mary and you're going to Orlando, you're going to hit traffic, but it's not going to be nearly as bad. If you live in DeLand, you're probably going to hit it in Orange City.
Yeah.
And through Orange City, and then into Sanford, and then into Lake Mary. So really, I-4 is going to affect you, but it depends on the area that you're in. So, but even the downtown areas, they're doing construction down some of these roads as we're riding down them, and they turn these two-way streets into one-way streets, and so
it can be inconvenient. Traffic can definitely be an inconvenience living in a small town.
Again, I think after 1, 2, and 3, which is weather, I think we're grasping at straws here. After weather, schools, and shopping, we're kind of grasping for straws here. But I will say it can be a con living around here and some of the areas. And if you're going down Woodland, which is Main Street, and where Stetson University is on, that is 1792, which goes really across all of Central Florida, and there can be a light at every 50 yards, and that can be frustrating. And since downtown DeLand is a walkable city, if you need that street to get to where you're going, there's people that are walking across the street all the time. And in fact, Woodland has some areas that you can't turn right or left on, which I think is super frustrating, especially if you get the green light. The heck can't you do that for? That's dumb. But anyway, I don't draw the traffic line, so I can't say. All right, so number 5 is real estate related. Because we have a lot of historical homes here, first off, there's less inventory with historical homes. So if you're looking for something, you got to look for a longer period of time for something historic. I mean, I can't believe that house even went to market that we looked at. That's $740,000.
It was sold, and then it came back on the market. like they do go fairly quickly.
I'm the one that's supposed to know about real estate.
Oh, well, I'm just letting you know that that's what happened with it.
I just got completely schooled by my wife, which is not a real estate agent.
I like that
I'm
house.
surprised at that when it even went to the market, even if it went for a short period of time, and it's on the market currently, because that is the deal of the century. But those are harder to find. Historic homes are harder to find. And what comes with historical homes, what comes with older homes? More maintenance, more issues, change orders when you're doing stuff. You know, and if you're not into, if you haven't done renovations and things like that in the past, change order is when you have one project in mind and you open the walls up or you do something and something comes up and you have to change what you're doing. And so I would say, you know, on older homes, you need to add at least 10 to 15% of what you think your budget is on top of that. So if you have a $10,000 budget, add an extra $1,000 into that for change orders. If you have a $15,000 budget, add $1,500 in change order.
But also, you're just talking about like overall maintenance on sort of, right?
Of roofs, of air conditioning systems, of plumbing systems. You know, there's some basements here, and because this is an older town, those things are going to come with some maintenance issues. It's just, you know, that comes with owning an older home. So again, we're grasping at straws here because owning an older home would be amazing. You got to be expecting that stuff.
Yeah, you got to be prepared. Like you've got to know what you're getting into. It's not going to like owning a new build or even something that's fairly newly built. Like it is a different kind of project.
But I will say, compared to some of the newer builds,
they're beautiful.
D.R. Horton,
And well
some
done.
other stuff, you know, some other builds, they are, they're really built well. They're built strong, and that's why they've lasted.
That's why they've lasted this
as long as they've lasted. Listen, we're grasping at straws on the cons. Deland is a cute town. It's got a lot of history. It's got some interesting facts about it. For example, the movie Waterboy was filmed here. The stadium where Stetson plays football, they filmed Waterboy. There were some scenes from Days of Thunder that were filmed here, because that was filmed. A lot of that was filmed in the Daytona 500, Daytona Speedway. Excuse me. It's a cool city with a lot of charm, a lot of history, a lot of really cool things to do here, and it is one of a kind place. Listen,
And it's affordable.
And it's affordable. Extremely affordable.
Yeah.
I mean, comparatively, I mean, just that house alone. I know we keep going back to that, but
Affordable to live 30 minutes from the beach. I mean, I always love plugging the beach because that's the whole point of the channel.
that's a great point. You know, I get phone calls, emails, text messages every day from people just like you, and that's true, wanting to move to the beach. But I want to plug that not in my closing line, but I do get calls, emails, texts, and Zoom invites every day, and I show them houses like the $740,000 house that's, you know, 3,000 square feet with 4-bedroom, 2-bath on a corner lot. That's that old, that's that big, in a perfect, great neighborhood. And they're like, oh my God, I never thought I could live in Florida. I never thought that this was something I'd be able to afford. This was a pipe dream. And then I get people in these places. I just closed with, I'm not going to say their name, Shane and Shay. If you guys are watching, hey, you're probably not watching anymore because you've closed on a house now. So, but they came from Park City, Utah, and they came down here just on a discovery trip, and we found them a 4,600 square foot home in a private country club gated community for less than $800,000. And I mean, 2-story multi-generational family living on an acre property with unbelievable landscaping in a private community for less than $800,000. They thought, Matt, there's no way in the world we ever thought we could pull this off. And so that is, you know, the affordability factor into land even intensifies more talking about living close to the beach. So listen, I do get phone calls, emails, text messages, Zoom invites every day from people just like you want to move to the beach. So whether that be in 2 days, 20 days, or 200 days, please don't hesitate to reach out. I would love to help you move to the beach or just right outside the beach to the land. Until next time, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe so you get all notifications and updates about everything New Smyrna Beach and the land and surrounding areas have to offer. Until next time, I'm going to get to my food. Thanks so much for joining us. Bye.